Okay guys, so I am in the process of moving. Like, I'm in the process of packing up my space and moving because I'm moving from Chicago. Well, I'm moving to Austin, but first I'm going home to Atlanta for a couple weeks and then I'm gonna go to Austin. And my apartment decided to spring it on me that I cannot do a pod. So I essentially couldn't really take any of my stuff, even though I moved to Chicago with a pod. Like, I moved into this apartment with a pod, but now I'm not allowed to move out with one, which has just been like a major wrench in my plans because I've essentially had to sell all of my furniture and then I can only take what can fit in my car, which is insane to me because I mean, I've been living alone for like 10 years. So I've been accumulating things and moving everything to different locations for 10 years. So this is the first time that I've ever had to like donate my stuff, sell my stuff. And it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm a little stressed out. So I don't even know. I've spent like the last 4 days kind of slowly making my way through my things, selling my things. I've managed to sell all of my furniture except for my bar cart. No one wants to buy my bar cart and I don't know why. But thank God for Facebook Marketplace. I genuinely don't know what I would have done without Facebook Marketplace. I have managed to sell everything major of mine that I have. But now I'm like at the point where I still need to get rid of these. I hope someone will buy them. Maybe I'll end up taking them if they fit. I don't know. But now I'm at the point where I'm down to the wire of like everything that's left either has to be able to fit in my car or has to be donated, which is really stressing me out because I mean, just my stuff alone, like my clothes and like my stuff that I use every day is a lot. Like, look at, this is my pile of stuff that I need to fit in my car. Like, I need all of this to fit in my car. So I ended up buying these like big black, they're almost like IKEA bags essentially. I ended up buying these on Amazon. It was a pack of 6 and I've managed to fit almost everything into these bags. So this is my car pile as of right now. And then I also bought this like overhead storage container for my car. So it's supposed to go on top of my car. And it actually fits a ton. Like, I've got 3 suitcases in there and I still have room. So I'm hoping that between this and then just like the size of my Jeep, I'm gonna be able to fit everything. Like, pray to God I'm gonna be able to fit everything. Really the only like major thing I'm still taking is my TV. But wow, this has been a process. And I've done this literally on my own. Usually I have help when I move or like in getting ready to pack and whatnot, but I have managed to do this entirely on my own. I even took down my TV on my own, which props to me, okay? I think that deserves some kudos. But really where I'm like getting stuck is my kitchen. I just have so much stuff that like really pains me to not be able to take with me because restocking your kitchen is so expensive. But I have really only been able to like manage to pack like my air fryer and my bowls and plates. And like essentially everything else has to go, which is again just like insane to me because I've been accumulating this stuff for years. This is like a major cleanse for me. I've never ever done this in my entire life. The other aspect of this move is donations. So this right here is pretty much all of my like home stuff that I'm donating. I've already done one major run of my clothes. So I downsized a lot on my clothes. Obviously I bought a lot of things when living in Chicago that were like warm weather clothes and like heavy coats and sweaters and stuff like that. So I did one like really major run to Plato's Closet to try and sell as much as I could, because again, it's painful. It's painful to me, like getting rid of all of this stuff that like I wish that I could sell every little thing that I need to get rid of, but you just can't. But I did end up doing a really big run to Plato's Closet, and I got the most money that I've ever gotten from them. They bought almost everything, and I ended up making $140 at Plato's Closet, which is just like crazy to me. I've never made that kind of money whenever I've like tried to sell clothes before. So that was a really big positive. But I do still have a ton of stuff that I need to donate. I need to manage to fit all of this into my car, which is gonna be nothing short of a miracle. All while I'm sleeping on an air mattress on the floor, okay? Like, my life is chaos right now, and it's been chaos for about 5 days since I really started like the moving process, but I'm just ready to be done. I'm ready to be done. I'm ready to like get back home to my parents' house and just like relax for a couple weeks. The only problem is that like when I get to Austin, I'm gonna have pretty much nothing. Like I'm not gonna have any furniture. I'm not gonna have a bed. I'm gonna barely have stuff in my kitchen. I'm gonna have to pretty much restock and re-buy my entire apartment, which, it's not only time consuming and not only takes a lot of effort, but it's also expensive. But I will say that like a pod to move me from Chicago to Austin was gonna cost me like almost $2,000. So like I saved money there. I've made about like $1,200 on selling all of my stuff from my apartment. So like I'm definitely gonna net out. I'm gonna be spending money for sure whenever I have to like redo my apartment. But this time I'm gonna try and just like take it slow when I get to Austin and really try to like source some cool stuff on Facebook Marketplace and like just take my time. Whereas when I moved here, I bought everything like all at once. I went on like a shopping spree for this apartment, and it was so expensive. So I'm really trying to not do that this time. I'm trying to take this cleanse that I'm doing very seriously and not just buy a bunch of stuff that I don't need. I'm trying to be like very intentional when I'm like redecorating my apartment and like restocking my life. But nonetheless, we are on like the final straw. I don't totally know. Ideally, I would like to leave tomorrow, but I just don't know if that's totally realistic. I have a lot of stuff that I need to finish doing. I need to do a massive donation haul. I need to finish like condensing and like really organizing what's going in my car, because that's gotta be, I don't need that to be a shit show. I need it to be organized and put together, and I just need it to like go smoothly. And I also have to clean my apartment, which is a whole other ordeal. Thank God I'm only in 500 square feet. But I would like to go home tomorrow. I just like don't know if it's realistic. And then obviously I'm still working, so if I don't go home tomorrow, like I would literally have to wait till next weekend essentially, which I don't really want to do that. I don't want to be sleeping on an air mattress for another week. So y'all pray for me. I have got to make some shit happen in the next 12 hours, okay? So just pray for me. Pray for me. We are moving across country again. Okay guys, I just finished, as you can hear the echo, I just finished moving out. I am officially no longer living in my 500 square feet apartment in Chicago. I am going to miss this view. That I will miss, but 500 square feet, I will never miss that. May we never live in 500 square feet ever again. I didn't film the whole packing and moving process because quite honestly, it was far too much going on, and I did the whole move by myself. And that was just way too much to be filming and moving, and it was up and down 14, no, it was too much. But we did it, guys. Lou. We really did it. Okay, so I have finished cleaning, I have finished packing, I have done everything I need to do. All I have to do now is turn in my keys, and then we start the road trip of all road trips, 13 hours back home to Atlanta for stop number 1 on the journey. So let's go to it. All right, guys, we did it. This thing is packed to the absolute maximum. Like there's no room for anything else, but I managed to fit everything that I absolutely 100% could not live without. All right, here we go. It is time. Are you ready? Okay, we are about halfway through with the drive now, so I have about 5.5 hours left of this drive. I just stopped for a little break. My lower back is killing me. My legs are tight. I needed to stretch. I needed to go to the bathroom. Louis needed to pee. We took a little break. But while we're on this break, I wanted to just kind of give a little more detail into why I'm moving and why I'm leaving Chicago and why I'm ultimately going to Austin. So if you've been keeping up with my channel, I've posted a few videos. I'll post them in the comments below, but okay, so when I moved to Chicago, all of my girlfriends were leaving Atlanta at about the same time. And I really had a decision to make. I could go 3 ways. I could either stay in Atlanta, I could go to Austin where all of my girlfriends moved to, or I could go somewhere else and try something different. I chose to go to Chicago because I really wanted to get outside of my comfort zone. I really wanted to see what it was like to move somewhere and not know anybody. I wanted to really kind of push myself and just see what would happen. I also loved Chicago. I had visited a few times in the summer. I had visited a few times and I really did love the city. So I was like, you know, if there ever was a time for me to make a move to really push myself out of my comfort zone, see what I'm made of, go try out something different, something new, this would be the time to do it. So I chose to go to Chicago. I got a job in Chicago. I moved up there for my job, all of that fun stuff. When I first moved to Chicago, obviously everything is new and bright and shiny and all of that fun stuff. I moved there in August of last year, and I loved it at first. I really did. I felt like I was really thriving, just kind of, I was sober at the time. I was really, you know, making an effort to try and meet people and making an effort to try and do new things and go new places and just push myself outside of my comfort zone. That was really easy in the beginning because it was all new and it was all exciting. And then it started to get cold, and I will say that it didn't get like really cold until December. Obviously it started to get cold in like October, but it was manageable, it was doable, it was cold that I had dealt with before. And then December hit and it got really cold. And then January hit and it got really cold. And then it didn't warm up in Chicago until literally May. Like, it did not get warm. I did not stop wearing a jacket in Chicago until like 2 weeks ago, which is insane to me. And it's kind of twofold, right? Like, obviously, when I was moving to Chicago, everyone had something to say about the weather. Everyone was warning me about winter. Everyone had an opinion on it, right? Which I understood. And I also knew, I told people when I moved to Chicago, I was like, winter is going to be make it or break it for me. I'm either going to be okay with it and continue on, or I'm going to be like, I don't ever want to do this again. And I will say, the thing about it is, Chicago is an incredible city. Chicago is a beautiful city. Chicago is an active city. Chicago has some of the nicest people. Midwesterners are so insanely nice. Like, they're just warm and inviting and friendly, and they're great people. Chicago's food scene is unreal. The bars are fun. It's a great city. I just really started to struggle when it got cold, not just because of the cold. I will say, when it comes to the cold, everybody warned me about the cold. I didn't know moving up there that not only was it going to be brutally cold, but it was going to be cold for 6 months. That's the thing, is that if it was really cold for like 2 months out of the year and like you just had a light jacket on the rest of the time, like fine. But it was brutally cold for about 4 months, and it was genuinely cold for about 6. That is a really long time. That's a really long winter. Like, I'm from the South, where our winters are like 2, maybe 3 months long, and like the coldest it gets is like freezing around about. I saw negative 27 degrees, not wind chill, actual temperature. I saw negative 27 degrees while living in Chicago, and I will never forget that day. I will never forget it. I walked to the subway that morning to go to the gym, and I saw the temperature, and I was like, this is a no. This is a no for me. And everyone kept telling me that this winter was so mild. And I think that was really like a turning point for me in terms of like opinion on whether or not I could do winter again, is like the fact that everyone was saying that this was such a mild winter, and I thought it was brutal. But I will say that it's not just the temperature or the length of winter that really got me. It's the lifestyle change that happens when it's that cold. I really struggled with just the lack of a social life during the winter time. Obviously, I had just moved to Chicago. Making friends takes a lot of time. It's not easy. It's not quick. Finding your right people and your right group is really difficult and can really take some time. So by the time winter started to roll around, like, I had like met a couple people, but I didn't have like a friend group. Like, I didn't have people that I just like hung out with, right? And so I really struggled socially and mentally in the wintertime in Chicago. And it got to the point where I am just a person that really enjoys to be outside. I really enjoy being outside. I like spending time outside. I like being with Louie outside. I like reading my books outside. I like just laying outside, like feeling the sun on my skin, even if it's cold. Like, feeling the sun on my skin genuinely makes me a happier person. And Chicago is extremely gloomy during the winter time, like extremely gray. And that really started to mess with me. I was also living in 500 square feet, and I just started to feel very trapped. I started to feel very stuck. I started to kind of lose a little bit of my drive and ambition. And as I've also mentioned on the channel before, like, I deal with depression. I've dealt with it my entire adult life, and I could feel it start to creep in, and I really had to push myself. It's a big reason why I like wanted to do Hard 75, because it would just force me out of the house, and it would force me to continue to stay active during those really cold months. But I just did not recover well from winter. I really got out of a groove. I really got into a very, I don't want to say like super negative headspace, but like just a very uninspired headspace. And I have really struggled to find that again. Even as it started to warm up, I felt like I had just kind of spent months in this like really down and gloomy headspace, and I just couldn't seem to find my energy again. I couldn't seem to find my drive again. It didn't go well for me, okay? And then all of my friends came up to Chicago for St. Patrick's Day, all of my girlfriends that live in Austin, and that was really like the tipping point for me. I was like, I need to get back with my people. I need to get back in my comfort zone a little bit. I need to get back in weather that really makes me happy and brings out the best side of me. I just need to get back to that. So when it came to like deciding what I was going to do next, I had kind of decided at that point, like, I don't think I ever want to do another winter here again, and my lease is up in July. So I kind of really had to make a decision, like, what am I going to do next? I really had one of two choices, because the only thing I knew for sure is that while I am so grateful for this move to Chicago, and while I am so grateful that I did push myself outside of my comfort zone, I did learn a lot about myself in doing that, and I do think that it was super beneficial. I knew for a fact that I did not want to move somewhere where I did not know anyone, possibly ever again, but definitely this next time. So I really had one of two options. I could either go back home to Atlanta, or I could move to Austin, where all of my friends now live. And I didn't want to go back to Atlanta. I don't feel like I'm done exploring. I don't feel like I'm not ready to settle down in that sense, like to go back home and like go back to my life. I didn't want to go backwards. I wanted to keep going forwards. And so Austin was the obvious choice. It ticks off my boxes of being back with my people. My best girlfriends are my comfort zone. They are my family. I love them so much. So I'll be back with my people. I'll be back in a little bit of my comfort zone. I'll also still be exploring and doing new things and in a new city. And I'll also be in a place with weather that, while it is also on the other extreme, extremely hot in Austin during the summer, I will be back in weather that will hopefully bring out the best sides of me. And I just think that it's going to be a really, really positive move for me. But there is definitely a part of me that like struggled with deciding to leave, because, you know, so many people say that it takes 2 years to really become comfortable in a new city. And I just didn't want, I knew that I wasn't going to do 2 years in Chicago. I couldn't risk another winter feeling the way that I felt this winter. Even if I did make new friends, even if I did like find my friend group and kind of find my groove, the lifestyle of Chicago in the winter is just not a lifestyle that I personally get super pumped up and thrilled about. Like, I like to be very active. I like to be outside. I like to be doing things. That is what centers me in a good headspace, and not being able to have that really, really affected me. So there was like an element of me that kind of felt like it was a little bit of a failure. Like, I really had to kind of talk myself out of this headspace that I was in when it came to, okay, I'm going to leave Chicago and I've only been there for a year, and not allowing myself to feel like a failure for it. I do think that it says something that it was a success that I even took the leap to go and move somewhere on my own and push myself to make new friends and go out and try new things and be the new person everywhere I went, and learn how to live through a winter and get myself out of that headspace and like make these decisions. Like, I do think that it was a beneficial move. I do think that there were some really, really beautiful things that came out of this move. I have one friend that I made in Chicago, and he is also moving to Austin. And there's a part of me that feels like meeting him, he's like a best friend of mine now, and part of me feels that meeting him was one of the reasons I was meant to go to Chicago. We just connect on a very like deep level, and I haven't made a new friend like that in a long time. And the fact that he is also now going back to Austin as well, I just think that it was kind of meant to be. And I think that everything happens for a reason, and I think it's going to be a really good next chapter. But yeah, Chicago was good for me in a lot of ways. Chicago taught me a lot about myself, not necessarily in the most positive ways, but I did learn a lot about myself. I learned a lot about, stepping outside of my comfort zone and being wildly uncomfortable for a very long time. And I see the benefit in it, but I also I think one of the biggest things that I learned is that I think so much of our generation is always preaching to step outside of your comfort zone, and you grow the most in your discomfort. And like, I do agree with that, but I also think that there is a real beauty in your comfort zone. I think that there is a real beauty in finding people that feel like home. And I have those people. I've had those people for the last 10 years. And separating myself from them was tough. It was really, really tough. So I'm really excited to get back with them, get back with my friends, and just start living my life again, start living the lifestyle that really brings out the best of me. And I think that's gonna happen in Austin. So that's kind of what triggered this move and kind of what led up to it and kind of why I'm leaving Chicago. And I feel no negative types of way about my time in Chicago. I feel no negative types of way about me leaving Chicago. I think that it was a chapter in my life and a chapter that I am very happy to close, but also very thankful for happening in the first place. So that's a little bit more detail on why we're making this move. Again, I have 5.5 more hours to go. This is gonna be the long part of the drive. The sun's starting to go down and I'm a little over it, but we're about to go through Nashville, which is like one of my favorite drives. It's such a beautiful drive. So let's finish this up, okay, guys? We made it! Home sweet home! Oh, he's so excited. We made it.